Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Phi and this is Money Philosophy. Today we will continue with our Tesla technical analysis. Tesla announced earnings after hours on Monday, July the 26th, and today is July 28th. The stock seemed to be moving down and then sideways. So we are trying to figure out where would Tesla go from here, given that it had really good earnings and it had really good outlook for the rest of the year. If you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I am a growth stock investor and a trader, and I'd love to share with you my investing and trading journeys. For all of you, if you stay until the end of the video, I would love to share with you one of the recent trades that I make, and I wanted to share one of my favorite patterns that materialized pretty well. So it is not on Tesla, unfortunately. It is for another stock, but I think the technical analysis applies to everything, and I follow this stock regularly, just like Tesla. I will definitely share with you my chart analysis and what I saw in that stock in order to get to that trade. Let's get right into it, and we will start with Tesla first. So here's the daily chart for Tesla. At the outset, we see that Tesla is at 60% volume. The time now is 2:45 Eastern Standard Time. So we are definitely more than halfway through the day. We have about an hour and 15 minutes left, but the volume seems to be pretty low, and that is pretty surprising for Tesla for day two after earnings announcement, because usually the first day you could see between 200 to 300% in volume on the low side. In some cases, some stock could get to even 500% plus volume. It wasn't the case with Tesla yesterday, and today is only day two. Most stock will still track about 100 to 150% day two after earnings, and Tesla is only at 60. At this rate, it is tracking only about 70% or 75% by the end of the day, which is less than 100% on the 30-day average, and I think that's very low for Tesla. It is interesting also because you would think that Tesla earned over $1 billion in quarterly net income and earned over $1.45 in earnings per share. Nobody seems to want to sell or buy for that matter, and the stock right now is hovering around $645, right at 200 days SMA here. It is above 50 days SMA, although yesterday it spiked through 50 days SMA and then bounced back. So right now Tesla seems to be moving around 200 days and 50 days SMA. Based on this chart alone, it doesn't really tell me any particular pattern, and it doesn't really tell me whether Tesla will move one way or another. I certainly won't be entering any position at this point until I can see a clear pattern. The RSI seemed to be in comparable position with the price action, at least on the daily here, so nothing special about it. Volume is the part that disappoints me the most. On the hourly chart, you could see that yesterday the move down was pretty drastic. It went from opening at around $666, spiked through all the pivot lines, and then hit the 200 days SMA, stopped there for the first hour, and then continued to spike back through 250 days SMA here. So it was not a pretty scene for Tesla shareholders, but the price action wasn't that bad. At the end of the day, it bounced a little bit, and so it wasn't a terrible day. Today, look at the price action today on the hourly chart. It seems to be like a squeeze. It is indecision. It does not know what way it should be going, and it just stick around the middle pivot line here, which is pretty interesting. Because it is moving very slowly today, it kind of narrowed down the range for the pivot lines tomorrow. The range we have would now be 654 on the higher end, 646 at the middle pivot point, which is very similar to the middle pivot point today, and on the low end we have $632. A range of about $20 a day like this, especially on day three after earnings, is not exciting. It definitely doesn't really prompt me to place any particular trade at this point. The weekly chart, which is the longer term horizon, is still showing a little bit of a squeeze. If Tesla loses 632 and move down to about 573, that is a descending triangle. And that is not good for Tesla fans. However, where it's at right now, it looks like it's just squeezing. It could go either way from here. That usually after earnings, despite good or bad earnings, Tesla would sell the news. After any kind of event, Tesla would sell the news. So the good thing is it didn't sell the news too much this time around. Does that mean it's going to turn bullish? I really can't tell you. All I can say is that I think it's holding this level, which is a very strong support, and that is hope for the bulls. But we will really have to wait until it start making a signal for a move before we can make a trade. Because right now, if we enter it and it goes sideways for the next few weeks, we'll just be paying the cost of premium. So I also want to do a post-mortem analysis to share with you guys the comparison between my estimate and the actual reality of Tesla. So this is to hold myself accountable, to show what I've learned in the process, but also show why Tesla surprised so many analysts when it comes to financial, pretty good at reducing costs. So the row 21, which is the row highlighted in yellow here, is my estimate, and row 24 is actual. So you could see here the average selling price that I estimated to be 47,000, and it came in at 50.7, which is a 2,000 improvement per vehicle on average from Q1 to Q2. And so $2,000 per vehicle improvement multiplied by over 200,000 vehicles, that easily bring in $2 billion on the top line. Tesla is also doing a fantastic job at keeping costs down. So from Q1 to Q2, you could see that Q1, the gross profit margin was 21%, and Q2, it went up to 24%. The automobile gross profit went from 26.5 to 28.4%. So as a result, net income went from 400 million to 1.1 billion, with a net income percentage of 9.55. At this rate, Tesla is going to get to a double-digit net income, and this is pretty phenomenal for Tesla, be it a fairly new automobile company. I think this is great news for Tesla, and I do learn a lot in this process to really understand how Tesla was able to keep a lot of expenses down. So you can see here, SG&A in Q1 was over $1 billion. In Q2, it keep it down to 973,000. I hope that Tesla continues to keep it up, although this is a very pleasant surprise when you have growing companies and facilities. It makes sense to start growing people, growing all kinds of expense associated with a growing plant. The fact that it went from Q1 to Q2 with a reduction in SG&A is pretty phenomenal. One possibility, though, is that it could have capitalized a bunch of the expenses as CapEx. So when you are a startup company, a lot of the costs might not be deducted outright from a tax standpoint or expensed outright from a book standpoint. So you capitalize that to amortize over the course of the life of the building, for example. So that could be part of the reason why a bunch of expenses from SG&A is carved out and get capitalized into the building or the machinery and equipment. But regardless, this is a phenomenal number to keep SG&A down. And I think if Tesla continues to keep it up, this is going to represent a very good year for Tesla, especially in the back half of the year. So the trade that I want to share with you is for MicroStrategy, ticker symbol MSTR. I enter a call option at the end of Friday, and I sold it on Monday. So I will share with you why I entered that trade. This is more on a Bitcoin play, although at the time I entered the position, I did not know that Bitcoin would spike over the last weekend. And I did not need to know. I only made the trade based purely on charts. And let me share with you what I saw. So here's the daily chart. It had been beating down pretty bad, going from about $657 from the last breakout down to all the way below $500. And it went below 200 days SMA, and that is that red line right here. So that was July the 20th. On July 21st, it had a gap up, staying right at 50 days SMA and stay there. Did not fill the gap the day after and the day after. So on July 23rd, on Friday, I told myself if it were to stay around this area without filling the gap by the end of the day, holding on to 50 days SMA, I would enter a trade, because usually when a stock gap up and stay up for 2 to 3 days in a row, that is a sign that it's about to break out. Now, I did not know that it would break out based on Bitcoin price over the weekend, right? But sure enough, over the weekend, Bitcoin spiked. So on Monday, it had a major gap up going from $540 something, gap it up at about $621 and went all the way up to $690. So at the end of Friday, I bought a call option, a $600 strike call option expiring August 20th, 2021. You can see that the time that I bought it was only 2 minutes before close at 3:58 p.m. For $2,850. On Monday at 11:14 a.m., I sold the option for $8,600, netting almost $7,000 in gain. And at the end of the day, I could have had more than that, but I think this is a decent gain, and so I took off the trade. But MSTR definitely had a lot of volume on Monday, and let's take a look at the chart and see what the price action was like. So this is where MSTR ended the day on Friday. It ended the day at around $540. On Monday, it gapped up and it started the day at $621 here. Went all the way up, retraced a little bit, and then back up again. Unfortunately, I exit my trade at around this candle here, which was a little bit disappointing because it continued to go back up. This is by the dip type moment. Especially, it had a lot of volume that day, but unfortunately I exited. I did not want to lose my gain, and I thought a return of over 300% is pretty decent, so I didn't want to be super greedy. And then if I were to hold on to it, let's just say I was holding on to the end of the day, that option could easily become about $13,000. So I sold about $4,500 too early. But I'm not complaining. I am a swing trader. When I see an opportunity, I will swing it. I would buy an option a few weeks out and take on that risk, presumably for a few weeks. But if it could run the first day immediately, I'll take my gain and book the profit for that day. So this is it for this video. I hope you find the information helpful. Comment down below if you'd like to see more of my trades. I'm a swing trader more than a day trader, and I'd love to share with you more trades if I have them. Of course, not every single trade will be successful. Some trades would go sideways for a couple of weeks. I recently had an Amazon trade, and it also went up, then retraced some of the profit, and then I gave up some of my profit, but I still closed the trade in the green. I could share that with you as well if you're interested. As always, please consider subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And until the next video, bye.